Feel the heat of a late afternoon pressing down, thick and relentless, the kind that wraps around you like a blanket you can't shake off. In the sprawling outskirts of Boise, Idaho, the sun beats mercilessly on the asphalt of Prestige Motors, a sleek car dealership where polished vehicles gleam like jewels under a sky too blue to hold a cloud. The air shimmers, heavy with the scent of gasoline and rubber, flags fluttering listlessly above rows of sedans and coupes. Into this simmering stillness step two black teenagers, Jaden Carter, 16, fresh from basketball practice, his damp t-shirt clinging to his lean frame, and his sister Nia, 15, her denim shorts and sneakers scuffed from a day of summer camp. Their footsteps crunch on gravel, a quiet rhythm of excitement and curiosity, their eyes wide with dreams too big for their small-town world. They're not here to stir trouble, trouble's the last thing on their minds. Jaden's been buzzing about this visit for days, his voice bright with hope as they cross the lot. "I'm not saying I'm driving out of here today," Jaden says, tugging the strap of his gym bag higher, a grin tugging at his lips. "But I want to scope it out, maybe a used hatchback, something chill for my birthday next month." Nia laughs, tossing her ponytail back, her voice teasing but warm. "You think Dad's going to let you roll up to school in some beat-up two-seater? Dream on, Jay." He smirks, undeterred, his steps steady as they near the glass doors, their reflections shimmering in the heat. "Let me have my moment," he shoots back, and she shakes her head, her smile softening the jab. They push inside, the blast of air conditioning a sharp relief, cutting through the sweat on their skin, their excitement a fragile flame flickering in the cool, sterile space. Inside, the showroom gleams, chrome rims catch the light, leather seats beckon, a quiet hum of wealth underscoring the faint jazz piping through speakers. Jaden's eyes dart to a silver sedan, modest but sharp, while Nia trails behind, her curiosity pulling her toward a cherry-red coupe. They're dressed simply, Jaden in his practice gear, Nia in her camp outfit clean, unassuming, nothing to signal chaos. But across the room, a man in a crisp white button-down lifts his head from the counter, his gaze locking onto them like a hawk spotting prey. He's middle-aged, his face lined with the wear of routine, his name tag reading Mark Hensley, assistant sales manager. His eyes narrow, first on Jaden, then Nia, a flicker of something hard passing through them. He stands abruptly, his chair scraping, and strides toward them, his voice slicing through the jazz like a shard of glass. "Can I help you?" Mark's tone is clipped, edged with suspicion, his posture stiff as he closes the distance. Jaden, ever polite, steps forward, his smile tentative but genuine. "Hey, yeah, we're just looking at some cars, maybe something used. My birthday's coming up, so—" Mark cuts him off, his words sharp and cold. "You got an appointment?" Jaden falters, caught off guard. No, we just thought—" "We don't allow unsupervised minors in the showroom," Mark snaps, his eyes flicking to a co-worker across the room, a silent signal. "Company policy." Nia's brow furrows, her voice rising slightly, a spark of defiance. "We're not messing with anything, just looking." Mark's gaze hardens, his tone dropping lower, icier. "This isn't a playground. You can check." "The website, if you're curious." The air thickens, a heavy silence swallowing Jaden's next words before they form. His mouth opens, then closes, his jaw tightening as Nia's fingers curl around her bag strap, her breath hitching. "We'll go," Jaden says finally, his voice low, a quiet surrender to avoid a fight he doesn't want. They turn, their steps slow across the polished floor, the glass doors looming like an exit from a dream gone sour. Nia holds her breath, her chest tight until they're back in the blistering heat, the pavement burning through their souls. They climb into an Uber, the cool leather a stark contrast to the fire in their hearts, and as the car pulls away, Nia's voice breaks the silence, trembling with hurt. "He looked at us like we were trash." Jaden nods, his jaw clenched, his eyes fixed on the window. "Yeah," he mutters, and the quiet that follows isn't peace, it's a wound, raw and unspoken. Picture two kids in the back seat of an Uber, the hum of the engine a dull lullaby against the ache pulsing in their chests. Jaden Carter, 16, stares out the window, the Boise skyline blurring past in streaks of green and grey, his gym bag slumped. Beside him, like a defeated ally, Nia, 15, sits with her arms crossed, her ponytail brushing her shoulder as she fights the sting in her eyes, the Prestige motor's rejection still a fresh bruise on her spirit. The air inside the car is cool, relief from the Idaho heat, but it does nothing to soothe the fire simmering beneath their skin. They'd walked into that dealership with nothing but Hope Jaden dreaming of a car, Nia tagging along with a grin, and walked out with something heavier, the weight of being seen as less, dismissed like shadows in a place that gleamed for others. The silence between them is thick, not empty, a shared wound they don't yet know how to name. Nia's voice cracks the quiet, soft but sharp, her words spilling out like they've been clawing at her throat. That guy, he didn't even give us a chance, like we were nothing. Jaden's jaw tightens, his fingers tapping his phone screen, dark and lifeless in his hand. Yeah, he says, a single word heavy with restraint, his eyes still fixed outside, watching the world roll by. Nia glances at his reflection in the glass, the way his brow furrows, the stillness that's not him, not her loud, laughing brother. You're not going to tell Dad, are you? She presses, her voice a mix of worry and challenge. He doesn't. Answer right away. The seconds stretching taut and she shifts, her sneakers scuffing the floor mat. Jaden, I don't know, he cuts in, finally turning to her, his voice low, strained. What do I even say? He didn't call us anything, just didn't want us there. Nia leans back, her arms tightening around herself, her breath a shaky exhale. It felt like plenty to me, she mutters, and the silence returns, heavier now, a pact of understanding they don't need words to seal. The Uber winds through the tree-lined streets of Eagle Rock, a quiet enclave where homes grow grander, nestled behind gates that whisper wealth without shouting it. Their house emerges a sleek blend of glass and cedar, understated but commanding, a testament to their father, Marcus Carter, a tech titan who rose from tinkering in a garage to gracing Forbes covers. The SUV glides to a stop and they climb out, the familiar scent of cedar and linen washing over them as they slip through the side door, dropping bags by the kitchen bench. Mrs. Lena, their housekeeper, looks up from folding towels, her warm smile faltering at their faces. Hey, you two, everything all right? Nia mumbles a yeah, her voice flat while Jaden stays silent, his steps heavy as he moves past. From the hall, Marcus's voice floats in, deep and steady. Jaden? He appears moments later, barefoot in a charcoal polo, a tablet in hand, his dark eyes catching the slump in his son's shoulders, the tension in Nia's stance. You're back early, he says, setting the tablet down, his gaze shifting between them. What's up? Jaden shrugs, avoiding his father's eyes. Didn't stay long, he mutters, but Marcus sees more, the quiet hurt, the weight, and turns to Nia, her face a map of frustration she can't hide. What happened? Nia sighs, her resolve cracking. Some guy at Prestige Motors said we couldn't look around, said minors need parents, told us to leave. Marcus's brow furrows, his voice low. Which dealership? Prestige, offer. Hoverland, Jaden replies, rubbing his neck, reluctant. He said it's not a hangout, like we were loitering or something. Marcus stands still, his eyes narrowing not with rage, but with a focus that cuts deeper, a mind already turning. Gears. What did you do? We left, Jaden says, his voice tight. Didn't want to make a scene. The words hit Marcus like a quiet blow, and he steps into the kitchen, pouring a glass of water, handing it to Jaden with a steady hand. You did right, he says, his tone firm, a father's pride threading through. But listen, you're not less than anyone. Track clothes or not, you carry yourself with respect. If someone sees you as trouble, that's their failure, not yours. Nia leans against the fridge, watching as Marcus sits, his gaze locking onto Jaden's. But silence isn't always strength, he adds, his voice dropping, weighted with years of lessons. Let small things slide, and they pile up, hit the ew. Next kid, then the next. Jaden swallows, the water glass cool in his grip. So what are you going to do? Marcus doesn't answer right away, pulling his phone from his pocket, his eyes glinting with purpose. I'm going to talk, he says, standing, his steps measured as he leaves the room. Tomorrow. The air shifts, a stillness laced with intent settling over them, a promise unspoken, but felt a storm brewing, quiet but unstoppable, ready to break over Prestige Motors like dawn on a sleeping town. Imagine the stillness of a home where the air hums with unspoken tension, a sanctuary where the echoes of a harsh day linger like uninvited guests. In the sleek, cedar-scented kitchen of the Carter family's Eagle Rock residence, Jaden Carter slumps at the counter, his 16-year-old frame hunched over a glass of water, his gym bag a silent sentinel by his feet. The Boise dusk filters through wide windows, painting the white stone walls in soft oranges and pinks, but the warmth can't touch the chill settling in his chest. Nia, 15, leans against the fridge, her arms crossed tight, her ponytail swaying. As she shifts, her dark eyes flickering with a hurt she's too stubborn to voice. The faint clink of Mrs. Lena folding towels down the hall is a distant comfort, but it's drowned by the weight of what they've carried home from Prestige Motors, a rejection that stings deeper than words, a wound they feel but can't yet name. Marcus Carter stands at the counter's edge, his barefoot stance casual but his presence a quiet storm, his charcoal polo a contrast to the fire in his gaze. He's just handed Jaden water, his voice a steady anchor. You did right. But now, as he pulls his phone from his pocket, a shift ripples through the room. I'm going to talk, he'd said, his words a vow wrapped in calm, and as he steps out, leaving Jaden and Nia in the kitchen's glow, the air thickens with purpose. Jaden stares at the glass, the water rippling faintly from his unsteady grip, his jaw tight as Marcus's words replay. Silence isn't always strength. He'd walked away from the dealership, kept his cool, but now he wonders if that restraint was weakness, if he'd let that man Mark Hensley win by default. Nia's voice cuts through his spiral, soft but edged. He's really going to do something, huh? Jaden nods, his eyes flicking to the hall where Marcus disappeared. Yeah, he mutters, his voice low, a thread of hope weaving through the doubt. Dad doesn't mess around. Nia shifts, her sneakers scuffing the floor, her arms loosening as she exhales. Good. That guy doesn't get to just do that. The kitchen falls quiet again, the cedar scent mingling with the faint promise of dinner grilled chicken, maybe, Marcus's specialty. But the normalcy feels fragile, a thin veneer over the ache they share. Jaden's fingers tap the counter, restless, his mind replaying the showroom. Mark's clipped tone, the cold dismissal, the way he'd looked at them like they were dirt on his polished floor. I didn't even want to fight, he says, almost to himself, his voice cracking. Just wanted to look. Nia steps closer, her shoulder brushing his, a silent solidarity. I know, she says, her tone softer now, a sister's understanding. But Dad's right, letting it slide doesn't fix anything. She pauses, her eyes narrowing. You think he's calling someone now? Jaden shrugs, but the thought lingers. Marcus Carter, tech titan, a man who built an empire from grit, doesn't just talk without a plan. The night unfolds with a strange calm, Marcus re-emerging to grill chicken, asparagus steaming on the stove, rice simmering in a pot. They eat as a family, forks clinking against plates, but the air hums with something new, not anger, not yet, but a purpose that settles over them like a mantle. Jaden catches his father's eye across the table, sees the glint of resolve, and feels a flicker of something, trust maybe, or anticipation. Later in his room, Jaden lies awake, the ceiling a blank canvas for his racing thoughts. The dealership's glass doors flash in his mind, Mark's voice a loop he can't mute. This isn't a hangout spot, and he wonders what Marcus meant by a conversation. No shouting, no threats, just that quiet promise. And it keeps him restless, the covers twisted around his legs. Nia's down the hall, probably scrolling her phone, but he knows she's thinking it too. What happens next? The house is still, the cedar scent a faint comfort, but sleep eludes him, his heart pounding with a mix of hurt and hope. He'd stayed silent, walked away, but Marcus's words echo. You're not less than anybody. It's a lifeline he clings to, a truth he's starting to believe. And as the night deepens, he senses a storm brewing, not loud, not wild, but steady, unstoppable. A reckoning he didn't ask for but can't turn away from. Across town, Prestige Motors slumbers under a star-streaked sky, its lot silent, its cars glinting in the dark. Mark Hensley has no idea what's coming, no clue that the kids he dismissed are more than they seem, that their father's shadow stretches far beyond Boise's quiet streets. Tomorrow, the showroom will hum to life, but tonight, it's a ticking clock, counting down to a dawn that'll change everything. Feel the morning break with a quiet roar, a moment where the ordinary bends under the weight of something extraordinary. At Prestige Motors in Boise, Idaho, the sun climbs slow and steady, casting long shadows across a lot of gleaming cars, sedans, SUVs, a cherry-red coupe winking in the light. It's 8:45 a.m., and the dealership stirs to life. Keys jangling as staff shuffle in, coffee cups steaming in their hands, sunglasses perched on tired faces. The Monday rhythm kicks in, papers rustle, phones ping, the faint hum of anticipation for a day of sales. Mark Hensley leans against the front desk, his white shirt crisp despite the early hour, scrolling his phone with an iced latte in hand, his mind on quotas and commissions. He doesn't notice the navy Bentley Continental pulling up outside, not at first, not until it glides to a stop right at the showroom doors, its engine a low growl that cuts through the morning haze. The staff freezes, heads turning as the Bentley sits there, a monolith of understated power, no idle hum in the backlot but a bold claim at the entrance. Mark squints, nudging the receptionist, Lisa, her fingers pausing mid-type. "You got an appointment lined up?" he mutters. "Nope," she replies, her eyes locked on the car, wide with curiosity. The driver's door swings open, and out steps Marcus Carter, tall, his dark blazer sharp as a blade, his polished shoes catching the sun like mirrors. His stride is slow, deliberate, a calm that carries weight, and as he pushes through the glass doors, the showroom falls silent. The jazz overhead a faint whisper against his presence. "Good morning," he says, his voice smooth but firm, a quiet thunder that fills the space. "I'm looking for your manager." Mark hesitates, stepping forward, his latte forgotten. I'm the assistant manager. How can I help you?" Marcus's gaze locks onto him, steady, unyielding. "You're not who I need," he replies, his tone even, a dismissal that stings. From a side office, Tom Grayson, the general manager, emerges tall, his face flushed with the perpetual strain of the job, his tie slightly askew. "Morning," he says, too quick, too eager. "I'm Tom. What brings you in?" Marcus pulls a card from his pocket, handing it over with a flick of his wrist. Tom reads it, his eyes widening as the name sinks in. Marcus Carter, founder and chairman, Carter Tech Solutions. His throat bobs, his voice faltering. Wow, Mr. Carter, I wasn't expecting—" "I imagine not," Marcus cuts in, stepping further. Inside, his presence a quiet command. "I won't take much time." Tom gestures toward his office, nerves jittering. "We can talk in here." "No need," Marcus says, planting himself in the showroom's heart. "This is a public place. I'll keep it short." Tom nods, stiff, as staff edge closer, Lisa pretending to adjust files, a salesman wiping a non-existent smudge drawn by the gravity of the man before them. Marcus's voice rises, steady, deliberate. "Yesterday, 2 kids walked in here, my son Jaden and my daughter Nia." Tom blinks, his face paling, a flicker of dread sparking. "They were told they couldn't browse, that they had to leave, that this wasn't for them," Marcus continues, his words a slow, piercing blade. "I'm not here to argue, not here for an apology. I didn't lose anything yesterday. But you did. You lost the chance to treat 2 young people right, kids raised to respect others even when it's not given back." The room holds its breath, the staff frozen, Mark's shoes scuffing as he shifts, his gaze dropping. "My kids aren't trouble," Marcus says, his voice a quiet storm. "They're smart, thoughtful, raised with care. They don't need your approval, but they deserve to be seen as people, not threats." Outside, a small crowd gathers 2 college kids with phones, a delivery, driver pausing, a reporter on a hunch drawn by the Bentley, the man, the moment. Marcus presses on, his tone unwavering. "I'm not asking you to grovel. Apologies are cheap. What matters is what you believe when no one's looking, the choices you make when you think you'll get away with it." He pauses, letting the silence breathe, heavy with truth. "Next time it won't be my kids, it'll be someone without a voice loud enough to reach back. They'll walk out with a scar you won't see, but they'll carry it forever. He turns, his blazer catching the light, and adds without looking back, "You can sell luxury without being small. Figure it out." The glass doors swing open, and he steps into the heat, the crowd parting as phones rise, capturing every word. Inside, Mark sinks into a chair. Lisa's eyes glisten, and Tom stands rigid, the weight of Marcus's calm slicing deeper than any shout. The storm has broken, and Prestige Motors will never be the same. Feel the air crackle with the sudden roar of a truth laid bare, a quiet stand igniting a fire that races beyond the glass doors of a Boise dealership. At Prestige Motors, the morning sun climbs higher, bathing the lot in a harsh, unrelenting light as Marcus Carter steps back into his Navy Bentley, the engine purring to life with a low growl that drowns the stunned silence he's left behind. Jaden Carter, 16, and Nia, 15, aren't here to see it, their father's calm, piercing words echoing through the showroom, but they feel the tremor from miles away, a seismic shift born from their bruised hopes. Inside, Mark Hensley slumps against the counter, his iced latte sweating in his hand, his white shirt wrinkled with the weight of a moment he can't unsee. Tom Grayson stands frozen by the window, his flushed face a mask of dread. The dealership's polished sheen tarnished by the man who walked in and spoke with a voice too steady to ignore. Outside, the crowd swells two college kids with phones trembling in their grips, a delivery driver pausing mid-stride, a Kiwi 6 news reporter fumbling her mic as she catches the tail end of Marcus's speech. "I'm not asking anyone to cancel this place," he'd said, his words a quiet thunder, "but I'm tired of seeing good kids made to feel like criminals before they've done anything wrong." The footage, shaky, vertical, raw, spreads like wildfire, uploaded by a student named Riley Tate, with a caption that hits like a punch. This guy just walked into a dealership that kicked out his kids and owned it with pure class. Speechless. By noon, it's crossed 1 million views on X. Instagram reels looping Marcus's measured tone, his dark blazer sharp against the showroom glass, his eyes steady with a father's love and a titan's resolve. The internet erupts, a tempest of voices clashing in the digital storm. "Charles Townsend's been real since day one," a Boise local tweets, her words echoing pride. "Fixed my uncle's PC in '98, man's always had heart." But the shadows bite back, anonymous accounts snarl. Why didn't the kids say who their dad was? Playing the victim card much? Another sneers, "Rich folks crying over a car lot, boo-hoo." The debate rages, threads spiraling into chaos, but the tide turns hard against Prestige Motors. Yelp ratings plummet from 4.3 to 2.0, one-star reviews flooding in like a deluge. "Rude staff treated my cousin like a thief. If you're not white and fancy, don't bother, they'll boot you out." By lunchtime, Good Morning Boise airs. A segment, billionaire dad confronts dealership bias, and the story's no longer local. It's a national spark, lighting up screens from coast to coast. Inside Prestige Motors, Tom Grayson scrambles, his tie a crooked noose as he paces his office, phone pressed to his ear. "Lay low, say less," his PR consultant barks. But the damage is done. The dealership's Instagram posts a tepid apology. "We regret the recent experience and are reviewing our policies," and the comments explode. Too late, clowns caught red-handed. This is colder than a Boise winter. Customers cancel appointments, locals vow boycotts, and activist groups latch on, amplifying Marcus's words into a call for reckoning youth rights, racial bias, the everyday slights that scar. Mark Hensley sits at his desk, scrolling the hate, his latte untouched, his smugness a ghost. He'd seen Jaden and Nia as trouble, not worth his time, and now his name's a whisper in the storm, a footnote in a lesson he never meant to learn. Back at the Carter home, Jaden and Nia huddle on the couch, their phones buzzing like angry bees, friends texting, "Is that your dad?" Strangers hurling, "You're just spoiled brats." Jaden's jaw tightens, his fingers hovering over a reply he deletes, his silence a shield against the noise. Nia scrolls, her eyes flashing at the venom. "Not everything's about race? He thought you were skipping school. So what?" And slams her phone down, her voice a raw edge. "This is stupid." Marcus walks in, 2 mugs of tea steaming in his hands, his barefoot stride a quiet anchor. "Phone's down," he says, his tone gentle but firm, setting the mugs on the table. Jayden hesitates, then complies, Nia following with a huff. Marcus sits across, leaning in, his dark eyes steady. "You didn't ask for this," he says, his voice a lifeline. "But sometimes, life picks you to carry a bigger story." Nia frowns, her arms crossing tighter. "We didn't even do anything, we just walked in." "I know," Marcus replies, his gaze unwavering. "That's what makes it real. You were yourselves, and someone saw you wrong." Jayden stares at the tea, steam curling upward, his voice low. "Is it always going to be like this?" Marcus lets the question hang, heavy in the cedar-scented air, then shakes his head. "No. But it'll happen again, and when it does, you choose who you are." In that moment, the words settle, a seed planted in the quiet, a father's wisdom turning their hurt into something stronger, a resolve they're only beginning to grasp. Picture a backyard bathed in the soft glow of dusk, where the fading sun brushes Boise's foothills with gold, and the air carries the smoky tang of a grill firing up. The Carter family gathers on their cedar-decked patio, the glass walls of their Eagle Rock home reflecting the last light of day. Jayden Carter, 16, sits at the table, elbows on his knees, his dark eyes tracing the lawn's edge, his gym bag a silent companion from a day that feels lifetimes ago. Nia, 15, leans against the railing, her hoodie pulled tight, her ponytail spilling over one shoulder as she stares at the horizon, the Prestige motor's sting still a raw ache in her chest. Marcus Carter stands at the grill, flipping chicken thighs. With a slow, steady rhythm, his barefoot calm a quiet fortress against the chaos swirling beyond their hedges. 2 days have passed since his stand shook the dealership, and the world's noise headlines, tweets, TV chatter hums like a distant thunder they can't quite escape. The grill hisses, a plume of smoke curling upward as Marcus breaks the silence, his voice low, threaded with memory. "When I was 17, he says, not looking up, I saved for 3 years to buy my first car, a 92 Honda Civic, rust-eating the fenders, no AC. Boise summers nearly melted me. But I loved that thing not because it was pretty, but because I earned it." Nia glances over, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "You've told us no air hand-crank windows, right?" Marcus chuckles, a warm rumble. "Yeah, cooked me alive, but it was mine." Jayden shifts, his gaze lifting. "You ever get treated like we did?" Marcus nods, his hand pausing mid-flip, the sizzle filling the quiet. "More times than I can count. Stores trailing me, banks laughing me out. A diner in Nampa once refusing me a seat, sat there with my coding books, and they still said no." Jayden's brow furrows, his voice soft but pressing. "Why didn't you fight back like you did now?" Marcus flips the chicken, the flames licking higher, his eyes distant. "Back then, I didn't think my voice mattered. Thought keeping quiet was how you got ahead. I was wrong." He turns, meeting Jayden's gaze, then Nia's, his tone firm. "I swallowed it too long, forgot what being seen felt like. I didn't want that for you." Nia slides into a chair beside Jayden, her hoodie slipping back, her voice a mix of awe and relief. "Well, you made sure we got seen, everyone's talking about it." Marcus grins, a flicker of pride breaking through. "Being seen's not enough. You've got to be ready for what follows. The love, the hate, all of it." Jayden's hands clasp, his voice tentative. "I didn't even want it to blow up, I just wanted to look at a car." Marcus steps away from the grill, wiping his hands on a towel, his gaze steady. "I know, son, that's what makes it powerful. You weren't posing, just living. And someone didn't like what that looked like." He pauses, letting the words settle, then adds, "I'm proud of you, both of you. You didn't yell, didn't lash out, just stayed true. That's strength." Nia shrugs, her smirk faint. "Didn't feel strong, just felt done." Marcus's laugh is soft, warm. "Real strength's quiet, Nia. It's not backing down from decency even when the world's loud and ugly." The patio falls still, the chicken sizzling a soft backdrop as the lesson sinks in. Then Nia leans into Jayden, her tone teasing. "So, we still hunting for that car or what?" Marcus's grin widens, and he tosses a set of keys across the table, the metal clinking as it lands near Jayden's hand. "Check the garage tomorrow," he says, his voice a blend of mischief and promise. Jaden's eyes widen, his breath catching. "Wait for real?" Nia laughs, nudging him. "You better not crash it day one." "Please," Jaden shoots back, his grin breaking free. "I'll drive it like it's glass." Marcus steps closer, his hand resting on the table, his tone shifting to something deeper. "It's not about the car, it's who you become driving it, that's what lasts." The night wraps around them, the Boise sky deepening to indigo. The grills glow a warm heart in the dusk. Jaden clutches the keys, a spark of joy cutting through the ache. Nia's laughter a balm to their shared wound. Marcus watches, his pride a quiet tide, knowing he's given them more than metal a lesson in standing tall, in turning hurt into purpose. The dealership's shadow fades, replaced by this moment family, strength, a gift earned not by wealth, but by who they are. Outside, the world rages on Prestige Motors reels. The story grows, but here it's just them. A bond forged in fire, a resolve that won't bend. Picture a Boise evening settling soft and still, the kind where the sky bleeds purple over the foothills, and the world feels like it's holding its breath. The Carter family's backyard glows with the flicker of patio lights, the cedar deck warm beneath Jaden Carter's sneakers as he sits, 16 and newly steady, the keys to a car, his car clinking, softly in his hand. Nia, 15, sprawls beside him, her hoodie loose, her ponytail spilling over the chair's edge, a grin tugging at her lips as the scent of grilled chicken lingers in the air. Marcus Carter stands by the rail, his barefoot silhouette framed against the dusk, his dark eyes tracing the horizon where Prestige Motors' shadow once loomed. 3 days have passed since he walked into that dealership, his voice a quiet thunder that shook its foundations. And now in this sanctuary of home, the storm's echoes settle into something deeper, a legacy born from a wound, a triumph woven. From their shared strength, the world beyond their hedges roars on, a tempest Marcus unleashed with his stand. Prestige Motors reels, its Yelp page a graveyard of one-star scars, racist staff, kicked out my nephew for no reason, its polished facade crumbling under a deluge of Boise's outrage. The video Riley Tate's shaky capture of Marcus's words has hit 5 million views, a viral hymn of dignity trending as Boise truth, shared from Idaho to Iowa. Morning shows dissected. Tech Titan takes on car lot bias, a headline that won't fade while activists amplify it, weaving Jaden and Nia's story into a broader cry: youth dismissed, black lives unseen. Tom Grayson's canned apology flops, drowned by comments. Too late? Fire them all and customers vanish, their absence a silent verdict. Mark Hensley's name fades into the noise, his smug dismissal a footnote in a reckoning he never saw coming. Inside the Carter home, the storm feels distant, a hum beneath the cedar's calm. Jaden turns the keys over in his palm, the metal cool. Against his skin, a gift from Marcus that's more than steel, a symbol of trust, of standing tall. That night on the patio, his father's words had rooted deep. It's not about the car, it's who you become driving it. Jaden feels it, now a shift in his bones, not just a kid dreaming of wheels, but a young man who faced a cut and didn't bleed out. Nia's laugh breaks his reverie, her voice teasing. "You're gonna baby that thing, huh?" He grins, the ache from Prestige easing. "Like it's glass," he says, and she nudges him, their bond a quiet fortress against the world's noise. Marcus watches from the rail, his charcoal polo catching the evening breeze, his pride a steady pulse. He'd turned their hurt into a beacon, his stand a lesson whispered over grilled chicken and dusk. Real strength's quiet, it's not backing down from decency. Jaden clings to that, the keys a tangible echo of his father's calm, a reminder. He's not less, not ever. Nia feels it too, her defiance from that day, her sharp, "we weren't doing anything," now a spark she'll carry forward. They didn't shout, didn't curse, just walked out with heads high, and Marcus made sure the world saw it not for vengeance, but for clarity. A mirror held to a pattern too long ignored. "You decide who you are in that moment," he'd said, and they're starting to Jaden with his steady gaze, Nia with her fierce heart. The city shifts in their wake. Boise buzzes with forums, parents swapping stories of kids judged too quick, black voices rising with tales of slights brushed aside. Prestige Motors scrambles. New policies posted, welcoming all. But trust's a ghost they can't catch. They're a lot quieter now, a lesson carved in empty spaces. Jaden and Nia see it on their phones, friends texting, "Your dad's a legend." Strangers debating, was it race or just rules? But Marcus keeps them grounded, his tea mugs a ritual of calm. "You didn't ask for this," he told them, "but it's yours now, carry it right." They do, Jaden's silence turning to Stree. Nia's hurt to purpose, their story a ripple that's touched more than they know. One night, driving the new car, a sleek grey hatchback, Jaden cruises past Prestige Motors with Nia shotgun, the lot dim under streetlights. He slows, the memory flashing Mark's cold stare. The walk out, but no bitterness bites. "We're bigger than that," he says, his voice steady, and Nia nods, her grin fierce. "Way bigger." Marcus's stand wasn't loud, wasn't wild. It was them, their quiet dignity, a truth that roared without a shout. The world saw it, felt it, a father's love, a family's resolve, and Boise won't forget. Jaden grips the wheel, Nia hums to the radio, and they drive on, not just kids, with a car but carriers of a lesson. Decency holds, courage stands, and sometimes the quietest fight echoes loudest of all.